कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय यशोदा नंदन जय ब्रज जन रंजन। जय यशोदा नंदन जय ब्रज जन रंजन। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी। जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Shri Srimad Shri Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada ki, Shri Shradha Girdhari Bhagwan ki, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ki, Shri Gaur Nitaya Bhagwan ki, Gaur Premanande. We'll continue our reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. This is the chapter called Planting the Seed. Michael Grant. I first heard about the initiation just one day before it was to take place. I had been busy with my music and I hadn't been attending. I was walking down 2nd Avenue with one of the prospective initiates, and he mentioned to me that there was going to be something called an initiation ceremony. I asked what it was about, and he said, all I know is that means that you accept the spiritual master as God. This was a big surprise to me, and I hardly knew how to take it. But in such an offhand way made it seem not very important. But I didn't take it up seriously, and the way it was mentioned to me in such an offhand way made it seem not very important. He asked me very casually whether I was going to be involved. And I, also very casual about it, said, well, I think I will. Why not? Let's give it a try. Jen didn't think she would make an obedient disciple. An initiation sounded frightening. She liked the Swami, especially cooking with him. But it was Mike who convinced her. He was going. So she should come along with him. Carl Huygens knew something about initiation from his readings, and he, more than the others, knew what a serious commitment it was. He was surprised to hear that Swamiji was offering initiation, and he was cautious about entering into it. He knew that the initiation meant no illicit sex, intoxication, or meat eating. An initiated disciple would have new responsibilities for spreading the teachings to the others. Carl was already feeling less involved since the Swami had moved to Second Avenue, but he decided to attend the initiation anyway. Bill Epstein had never professed to be a serious disciple. Holding initiation was just another part of Swami's scene, and you were free to take it seriously or not. He figured it all was right to take initiation, even if you weren't serious. He would try. Carl Becker was surprised to hear that some people would be taking initiation even though they had no intentions of giving up their bad habits. He had stopped coming around regularly ever since the Swami had moved, and she felt no desire to ask for initiation. The Swami probably wouldn't initiate women anyway, she figured. Robert Nelson had forgotten the Swami and always liked to help whenever he could. Robert Nelson hadn't forgotten the Swami and always liked to help whenever he could. But except for an occasional friendly visit, he had stopped coming. He mostly stayed to himself. He still liked Uptown and wasn't into the Lower East Side scene. James Green thought he wasn't pure enough to be initiated. Who am I to be initiated? But the Swami had asked him to bring something over to the storefront. I came, and it was just understood that I was supposed to be initiated. So I thought, why not? Stanley had been chanting regularly again and had come out of his crazy mood. He was sticking with Swami and his followers. He asked his mother if he could be initiated, and she said, it will be all right. His mother, Steve, wanted more time to think about it. Keith was in the hospital. Bruce had only been attending for a week or two, and was too soon. Chuck was on a week's vacation from the regulated spiritual life at the temple, so he didn't know about the initiation. I'm just going to end here. All right. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we'll be speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, verse 21. And this is about King Puranjan goes to the forest to hunt. Puranjanuvacha Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste Ritya Yeshvishwara Shubhe Krita Kasvatmasat Kritva Shiksha Dandam Na Yunjate. Puranjanuvacha Nunam Tvakrita Punyaste Vrityashveshwara Shubhe Ritagasvatma Satka Kritva शिक्षा दंडम न युञ्जते. पुरञ्जनुवाच नूनं त्वकृतपुण्यास्ते भृत्या येष्वशुभे कृतः गस्त्वत्मसात् कृत्वा शिक्षा दंडम न युञ्जते. पुरञ्जनुवाच नूनं त्वकृतपुण्यास्ते भृत्या येष्वीश्वरा शुभे कृतागस्वात्मसात् कृत्वा शिक्षा दंडम न युञ्जते. पुरञ्जनुवाच नूनं त्वकृतपुण्यास्ते भृत्या येष्वीश्वरा शुभे कृतागः स्वश्वचात्मा कृत्वा शिक्षा दंडम न युञ्जते. माताजी. पुरञ्जनुवाच नूनं त्वकृतपुण्यास्ते भृत्या येष्वीश्वरा शुभे कृतगस्वात्मसात् कृत्वा शिक्षा दंडम न युञ्जते. पुरञ्जनुवाच नूनं त्वकृतपुण्यास्ते भृत्या येष्वीश्वरा शुभे कृतागस्वात्मसात् कृत्वा शिक्षा दंडम न युञ्जते. पुरञ्जनुवाच नूनं त्वकृतपुण्यास्ते भृत्या येष्वीश्वरा शुभे कृत्वा गस्वात्मसात् कृत्वा शिक्षा दंडम न युञ्जते. Word by word translation. Puranjanuvacha. Puranjan said, Nunam, certainly. Tu, then. Akrita punyaha. Those who are not pious. Te, such. Vrityaha, servants. Yeshu, unto whom. Ishwaraha, the masters. Shubhe, O most auspicious one. Krita agahasu, having committed an offense. Atmasat, accepting as your own. Tattva, doing so. Shiksha, instructive. Dandam, punishment. Nayunjate, do not give. Translation by His Divine Grace Prabhupada. King Puranjan said, my dear beautiful wife, when a master accepts a servant as his own man, but does not punish him for his offenses, the servant must be considered unfortunate. Purport by His Divine Grace Prabhupada. According to Vedic civilization, domestic animals and servants are treated exactly like one's own children. Animals and children are sometimes punished not out of vengeance, but out of love. Similarly, a master sometimes punishes his servant, not out of vengeance, but out of love, to correct him and bring him to the right point. Thus, King Puranjan took his punishment dealt by his wife, the queen, as a mercy upon him. He considered himself the most obedient servant of the queen. She was angry at him for his sinful activities, namely hunting in the forest and leaving her at home. King Puranjan accepted the punishment as actual love and affection from his wife. In the same way, when a person is punished by the laws of nature, by the will of God, he should not be disturbed. A real devotee thinks in this way. When a devotee is put into an awkward position, he takes it as the mercy of the Supreme Lord. It's a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 14, verse 8. Tatte tunakam tatte nukampam samikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam irdvaga vapurbhir vidadhan namaste jivet yo mukti padesa daya bhak. This verse states that the devotee accepts the reversal of his position in life as a benediction by the Lord and consequently offers the Lord more obeisances and prayers, thinking that the punishment is due to his past deeds and that the Lord is punishing him very mildly. The punishment awarded by the state or by God for one's own faults is actually for one's benefit. In the Manu Samhita, it is said that the king should be considered merciful when he condemns a murderer to death, because a murderer punished in this life becomes freed from his sinful activity and in the next life takes birth cleared of all sin. If one accepts punishment as a reward dealt by the master, he becomes intelligent enough not to commit the same mistake again. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Guru Shri Yutpada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Jagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगनललिता श्रीविशाखान् वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। This is a very good, actually, purport given by Srila Prabhupada here, that a lot of times we get punished by our masters or superiors, and that is actually, that punishment is sometimes, a lot of times, for the good of the person, but we sometimes take it in a different way, you know. Just like, for example, the a parent mom or dad would chastise a child, sometimes in a very difficult way, in a way that may not be acceptable by the child. But the parent is doing that out of love for the child, because the parent is very considerate about the behavior of the welfare of the child. The parent doesn't punish the child for nothing, but she wants to make sure that the child gets disciplined. And unless the child is disciplined, the person will not know or will continue to make mistakes over and over again. So in this case here, the same way, the king also makes sometimes um, chastises or punishes his citizens. In this case here, Puranjan is actually feeling being chastised by his wife, and he's basically here accepting the dominance of his wife, even though the king is considered the master of the queen. Generally, that's what it is, right? The king is the ultimate master, and everyone subordinated to him, even the queen. But out of love, the king decides to become placed subordinate to the queen, and that's out of love. Right? In this case here, the queen is lying on the ground, completely, in a way that generally is not fit for a queen. Why does someone do that? Why would someone behave in such a way? Those who married would maybe be able to comment on that. Why? It's very difficult to sometimes understand the opposite sex, especially if your wife, what they want. Classic example you can see is in Ramayana, when Lord Rama was to get coronated. Kaikeyi, of course, was happy initially, but when she was poisoned by a mantra through words, she decided to go in Kopavan, and she basically kept everything out, all the jewelry, everything. She just spread on the floor and everything, and it's like it's not very happy with the decision of the king. And when Dashrath Maharaj knew where she was, he came over to pacify her. He wanted to pacify her and make her feel happy, make her, he wanted to know what was going on. And Kaikeyi would not tell. So it took him a while. Basically, he was again as if he was playing subordinate to the queen, because the queen was very dear to him. If you look at in the history of Puranjan Maharaj, he was very, very dear, affectionate, very much attached to the wife Puranjani. When the queen would laugh, he would laugh. When the queen would walk, he would walk. Whatever she would do, he would do everything with the queen. And as such, he decided to play. So in the same way, Dashrath Maharaj decided to play subordinate and play to what the queen's demands were. Ultimately, when the queen knew that the king is now in my hands, I now can take control of the king and ask him what I want. In the same way, I'm sure you all have experienced that in your personal life when you have dealings with your husband, and probably the mother should maybe tell, if you want something from your husband, what's the best way of doing it? Just don't talk, don't cook, and do all sorts of things just to annoy the husband until the husband says, my dear, I'm so sorry. Whatever you want, I'll do it for you. My love. Isn't that how things work? Generally, right? Motherji, is that correct? Prabhu, you might be able to tell. So Srimad Bhagavatam talks about how to flatter, how to talk to your wife or, your superiors in such a way that you can make them feel they want to listen to you. So here, Puranjan Maharaj is using flattery words. Oh, my beautiful wife, what is it I can do for you, He takes her and puts her on his lap, embraces her, whatever will make her feel happy. Remember, the king came back from hunting, and he was now full of lust. And he was looking for his wife because he wanted to fulfill his luscious desire. Eventually, we'll see that the queen becomes pacified, and then they end up enjoying a good time together. But in this case here, Queen Puranjani is in a way chastising the king. First of all, why did you not take me with you for hunting? Because normally they would do things together. So they would, but this time the king went along on his own with his subjects, but without the queen. And for that reason, the queen was punishing him. First of all, why did you not take me? This happens in real life, right? In real life, it happens. If you do things without your wife telling your wife, what will happen? What will happen? Yeah. The wife will be angry. Why did you not tell me? The tone will change, right? The way she will behave will be different. All right, that's it. I'm not going to do anything for you now. You did not listen to me. The tone will automatically change. On the contrary, wife would say, oh, my dear husband, you're so nice. I love you so much. You wouldn't expect that kind of behavior from the wife. You will expect a tone that is very hard, difficult, and that would mean that she's not happy with you. So the husband, what she does is pacifies, uses flattery words, whatever he needs to pacify the wife. And this is kind of the beauty of relationship, right? In a relationship, there's no fight. That means there's something wrong. Prabhupada just say, there has to be some sort of element of, challenge in the relationship. If it's all the same, it's all flat, and there's no spices in the relationship. But in a relationship, this is where the woman or the wife actually is in control of the husband in a way. Even though the husband is considered to be the master of the family, the head of the family, but the wife also takes charge as well because she is the better half of the husband. So she also has a right as well. The woman is not considered to be a subordinate personality. She is on equal platform with her husband. Of course, she has her own different responsibilities. You cannot say husband and wife are the same. Of course, on a physical level, they're not the same. But they've got different responsibilities, So this, for example, the father goes out to work and earn money, whereas the wife looks after the kids, does everything for the husband. And when the wife looks after the husband, then there's a nice relationship, But if there's challenges in the relationship where the husband comes home and the wife hasn't cooked anything for the husband, it's frustration. Nowadays, it's, people say, oh, why do women have to cook? Of course, they don't have to cook, but women cook out of love for the husband. It's not that they have to cook, but they cook out of love. My husband's going to come. He's worked all day. I want to prepare, give him something nice prashadam. And by having this kind of attitude, you automatically get the favor of affection of your husband. This is one thing that's missing these days in relationships. In relationship, it's all about we are one. Today is your turn to cook. tomorrow it's my turn to cook, and those kinds of things. It's about, we want to see each other equal, but we're not willing to understand the responsibility of each other properly. In the same way, when the wife plays like the master of the husband, in this case, Puranjan decides to become subordinate, and he begs for forgiveness. He begs for, uses flattery words to convince her, my dear love, you're so beautiful. What is wrong with you? Tell me. I'm actually sorry about it, whatever happened, and those kinds of things, In the same way, the spiritual master, when he takes responsibility of the disciple, he sometimes chastises the disciple for the good of the disciple. Not that because he loves to chastise. Because the spiritual master has got a sense of responsibility. I want my disciple to go back to Godhead in this lifetime. And as such, I want to train my disciple that they can serve the Lordship nicely, they can serve the Vaishnavas nicely. They don't waste their time in doing nonsense activities. So the spiritual master takes charge of his disciple, and sometimes he can be very heavy. In fact, the word guru means heavy. So he can be very heavy, and he chastises disciple simply for the benefit of the child. And sometimes disciple can take it, sometimes disciple can't. But the guru should not be all cozy and say, oh, if I say this to my disciple is going to run away. That means the guru is not a well-wisher of the disciple. The guru sometimes has to be heavy. But at the same time, I think sometimes the guru sees which disciple can take it and which disciple cannot take it. So sometimes the disciple gets chastised by the guru, and that's because the guru knows this disciple can take it or not. In the same way, the guru makes sure that the disciple is in a situation that is, you can say, he will be in a position to take things, heavy stuff, heavy chastisement. Now, guru also can actually chastise you in front of public. But then again, the guru will not just chastise you if the guru thinks that the disciple will not be able to take that in front of everybody. Now, getting chastised in front of everybody is a very, very difficult thing, right? It's very embarrassing. Some people actually can't take it. There's a nice story about His Holiness Gaur Gobind Maharaj when he was in Bhubaneswar, and he was about to start Bhagavatam class, and Bhagavatam has not started yet. So he saw one of his disciples up on the top floor chanting, and he's not in the class. So he actually asked one of his disciples to go and get this disciple. He said, why is it chanting? He should be in the class. And the servant went up and then called the disciple who was chanting, and he did not come. So as the guru said, went and said to the disciple, he didn't go, but he again ordered that the disciple be brought back by force. So he was kind of brought back by force in front of the guru, and the disciple looked very angry. He looked very angry at the guru. And Gaur Gobind Maharaj was chastising from left, right, and center. He said, what are you doing? He said, you should be in the class. And why are you chanting up there? You're supposed to be in the class. It was very heavy. And Maharaj was telling, and he was actually, this disciple was actually looking at Maharaj on his face with an angry face. You could see from his face, extremely angry. I said, don't look at me, look down. And yet he was looking with Maharaj with a lot of anger. I said, just look down. He said, someone just chop off his shikha, you know, I'm going to reject him as my disciple from today. Completely reject him as my disciple. He's no longer be my disciple. And then, of course, the disciples chopped off his shikha, and he looked even more angry, so angry. And he just left. He left the temple room. And that day, Maharaj was sitting outside his room on a couch or something like that, outside his room. And maybe the class did not happen. And he was waiting. He was hoping this disciple would come, beg for forgiveness. He said, if this disciple comes and begs for forgiveness, I will give him love of Godhead. I will give him. But the disciple came and said, and showed an angry face and just left and never came back. So the guru sometimes can be extremely heavy, but there is within the guru, deep inside him, he has got love for the disciple. He has extreme love for the disciple, and when he was waiting outside, it was soft as butter. If he comes, I will embrace him, and I will give him love of Godhead. All the disciple needed to do is just beg for forgiveness. That's all it is. I'm extremely sorry, Guru Maharaj. That's all that happened. But he could not tolerate being chastised in front of a wider audience. We had a lot of stories, whereas in Fiji, usually Tamal Krishna Maharaj just chastised so many disciples. And whenever Master Maharaj to come to Fiji, disciples would be in a bit of a fear, you know. Guru Maharaj or Gurudev will call me and might start asking me questions. What I'm going to say. Because Maharaj could sense everyone, you know, what's going on in their life, what's in their heart. They're all fearful, hiding behind devotees, you know. Because the last thing we want is Maharaj to scan them and then tell them what's going on. Yeah. There was one time the temple president was busy in Fiji, and he was doing something that in the kitchen or something like that. And he was all sweaty and all dirty, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was calling him for him. He was the temple president. He said, "Call him." And he went out, call him, and he was not coming. And he said, "Just go and call him." He said, "I'm going to go and have my shower first. I can't go in front of my Guru Maharaj like this, all sweaty and dirty." He said, "I just want him to come now, here." So the disciple, the temple president, went in front of him, and he was like, and Srila Gurudev was so angry at him. He was so, look at you. You were so dirty. Is this how you come to spiritual master? All sweaty and dirty. And he was so much in, he was very, very uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable. He said, I actually felt like running out and leaving this whole place completely altogether. But then when he went back later on, his Guru Maharaj was very kind towards him. He said, when I asked you to come, irrespective of whatever, leave everything aside, just come. I want to talk to you something urgent. So, and in the same way, so many examples where a disciple felt that the guru was very, very heavy. But that guru, a genuine guru, will always think of the welfare of his disciple. And he doesn't care how the disciple will feel at that time, but at the same time, it's mindful which disciple can take it. This, like Tamal Krishna Maharaj knew this disciple could take it, which is why he chastised in front of devotees, and yet this disciple did not run away. He was still there, he was still the temple president, and he was one of the most trusted disciples of Maharaj. So we should just, if we have to chastise someone, we have to be very careful how we chastise. particularly when we are not spiritual masters, we should not chastise anyone in front of people. We have to be very mindful. Chastisement responsibility is only with the spiritual master, I would say. If you are the disciple of a guru and your guru chastises in front of wherever he does, that's considered to be mercy of the spiritual master. But a lot of times we see sometimes devotees start chastising people in front of others. That is totally a no thing, I would say. Because sometimes you don't know how people take it. People will not take it in the right way and they might get offended. The last thing you want is get someone kick out or leave his completely. So when someone gets chastised by people, they should consider that it's actually mercy, right? And this is how a devotee would think, that this is actually mercy of a devotee, Krishna. This is what Prabhupada mentions here, that being chastised by authorities is actually a mercy of the Supreme Lord. But we're not all on the same platform where we are able to think that way, that this is my fault. It's my fault. It's my wrongdoings. Because of that, I'm reaping these results. Not everybody on the same platform. Some people will not take it lightly, and sometimes people will retaliate. So it's very important for us to talk to people nicely. If we would correct someone, pull them to the side or talk to them in private and just tell them, look, I saw you doing this. Please don't do that. Or if you were to do that, this is how you do it. So when we do commendation, when we want to correct someone, you don't talk about the faults first. You talk about, oh, actually, I really like how you did this. You really did it so well. And I love that, the way you work through the whole thing. Just one recommendation I have is that maybe you could do it this way. If you didn't do this, that would have made things better. But other than that, I really loved how you do things. The way you cook, whatever it is. I'm just giving an example here. The person will feel really appreciated that you actually not pulling the person down, not tearing the person apart, right, left, and center, but making them feel that this is how they can bring about change. Does it make sense? So it's called the CRC method: commendation, recommendation, and commendation. Right? You want to correct someone, commend them. You recommend, and you commend them. You don't say, you did this wrong, this is not how you do it, and you just blow them up and down, all right and center. So it's very, very important that we, we would correct someone, correct them in such a way that the person don't get offended. That spiritual master obviously has a right to chastise someone. Of course, the spiritual master is mindful which disciple can take it, which disciple cannot take it. I remember I was chastised by my Guru Maharaj in front of audience way back in 2010 when I was in Sydney, and I was there taking initiation, as I did not realize that my Guru Maharaj wanted me to have my head fully shaved. And while we were sitting down in the Yajna, when he was giving lectures, and he saw it, because I was kind of feeling uncomfortable sitting down, and he looked at me and kind of, so I told you to shave your head. Why did you not shave your head? And I'm thinking, well, Maharaj didn't tell me, but you should have actually asked. It's like really heavy on me. The Brahman is supposed to be pakka, you should have shaved your head, this and that. And I was trembling. I was trembling. And then Guru Maharaj took me to the room and was giving mantra. I actually started crying. When I was crying, Guru Maharaj just patted me on my shoulder and said, "Don't worry, it's all right." No, totally understand. I said, the reason I didn't shave is because of these reasons, I said, that's all right. I understand. Sometimes, the guru can be heavy, but when you explain, the guru understands you and the guru doesn't make a big deal out of it. So we also, every time when we go through difficulties in life, we should always take that as Krishna Prasad. When we take shelter of Krishna, Krishna sometimes puts us in difficult situations. And, we might think, why is this happening to me? Why? I mean, you see other people having wonderful life and all of that. We go through some difficult times in life. Devotees give us difficult times. Why do we experience that kind of thing? We should always think that's actually purification for us. Krishna's mercy, Krishna's arrangement. Krishna is putting us in this difficult situation so that we can purify it. But if we make things worse, we do also create more trouble, and things will not work. But rather, Krishna will one day kick us out completely. The last thing we want is to be kicked out from Krishna's shelter, from his lotus feet. So whatever the situation is, sometimes it's best to just tolerate. And this is what it is. Tolerate. When you tolerate, then you get the mercy of the Lord more and more. And you take it as, all right, it's just my fault. Just like, for example, it all comes down to which mode we are in, right? So, for example, the person in the mode of sattvic gun, the person gets hit by an accident, right? Someone hit by an accident. A person in the mode of ignorance will start crying. Oh, I got hit, I'm so sore here, and this and that. But a person in the mode of passion will stand up. Who is that guy who hit me? He will show an attitude, a passionate attitude. He'll go and want to fight. Who are you? Why did he hit me? Those kinds of things. But a person in the mode of sattvic gun, he will say, maybe it was my fault. This is the reason I got hit. I think it was my fault. I didn't do it right. That's why I got hit at this point. So it all comes down to which mode you are in, which mode you're governed by. If you're in the mode of passion, you will definitely stick out and want to take revenge and all those kinds of things. But if you're in the mode of goodness, you'll always look at your fault. You will introspect. You'll always think about, what is it that I did wrong? What can I do to change things? It's very important. Introspection is very important. Rather than blaming others, we should think about, how can I improve myself? And Krishna's mercy is in the form of, sometimes big accidents can be turned into a small one. That's Krishna's mercy. When we take shelter of Krishna, Krishna makes big accidents, big difficult situations small. So most important thing is to hang around, stick around, being the shelter of the devotees, and not leave Krishna's shelter. That's the most important thing. Never leave Prabhupada, never leave Krishna. You may have challenges with a devotee. That's perfectly fine. We're all human beings. Find someone who can motivate you spiritually. Associate with those kinds of devotees, who inspires you, who does, instead of always judging you. Find someone. I mean, I'm sure there's so many devotees out there who you can associate with, who will inspire you, motivate you. Ultimately, that's the whole idea. So I think I'm going to end over here. Does anyone have got any questions? Anyone? They might do something. We might just be more patient with them, more relaxed. If we're busy and we've got things on and stressed out and something next. So I'm just wondering, even as gurus, sometimes is it that they can be stressed out and maybe snap close.
same incident, different guru will treat differently, like that example you gave here. That's interesting. But another guru might say, look, it's important to care by what can explain that. So in that sense, and in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains that if you worship is peaceful, not be angry, not be agitated. So is it that sometimes, I'm just thinking as devotees, we should really think that rather than snapping away. And like you gave the example of that compliment first, if you're going to create someone, compliment, I think means in which I think, is the best way. And even in companies and outside, they also recommend this way to correct somebody. So is it that sometimes, and the other example you gave about how the other disciples he left, so in that sense, was it the right thing to do to chastise somebody and stuff like that? And maybe explain them to take more time, explain them more time.
I really can't comment on Maharaj's reason why he was a bit angry. Oh, okay. So your question basically is, maybe the Maharaj could have taken more time and more kind towards the disciples. Is that what he's saying? Like rather,
I'm just saying
as a parent.
And
yeah, so sometimes parents can happen when they're stressed out and they may behave to the child in a different way. They may sometimes get angry in the child. They may, sometimes hit them a little bit. It depends on how the parent treats the child. And because of that, the child may sometimes not take it in a nice way. And sometimes the child will not have the relationship might get disturbed, because a lot of times when depends what time of the age, around 5 or 6 years of age or anything less than that, whatever goes in the child's brain, the child records that in memory. Suppose if you tell the child, you're hopeless, you're stupid, that gets recorded in the child's mind, memory, and that person starts believing, actually, I'm stupid, I'm hopeless. And this is what we call negative belief, right? Belief gets established in your mind and you start thinking that way. And a lot of times this can actually be with you for a longer period of time, unless someone releases that whole belief thing. So negative belief, negative emotions, those things can actually affect a child. So I think it's important for us, before we deal with, we have to consider all these factors as well. The age of the child. If the child is 13, 14 years old, you get a little bit angry, that's perfectly fine, I suppose. But 5 to 6 years old is a bit teenage age, if we're very careful. Overall, I would say, just be patient, be tolerant. I don't know, you have to, everyone's different, right? You'd know how to deal with a child in a way that the child will be able to take it and accept your chastisement. Probably you want to comment on that? You want to have any suggestions? No, from experience, you've raised about. With a guru, it's a different situation, The guru is is the person responsible for the disciple. And sometimes the guru never looks at, always thinks of the welfare of the disciple. First of all, we have to understand this fact. The guru is always there, make sure the disciple is well trained, is behaving everything in a way that is expected of a guru, of a devotee. And if the devotee sometimes behaves in a different way, guru can chastise him. So, what was you want to add to that question, Prabhu?
Main thing was that, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains we should be peaceful. And then also complimenting first, then correcting, then complimenting, as you mentioned. So then is there actually really a need to chastise anybody, is my question, in an angry mood or in public? Is there actually even a need for that?
Yes, of course. We all have to be peaceful. That's the nature we need to develop. We have to understand we're all governed by the three modes of nature, right? And sometimes, depending on the situation, one may need to get chastisement. Sometimes, if you tell the disciple, your child, nicely, you may not listen. Sometimes you need to you bit of a chastisement there, and sometimes when you give it a bit of a, growl or whatever, he or she might listen. So it all comes down to what the situation is and how you want to deal with it. But of course, you have to be mindful that when the child is growing, you don't give them a very difficult time. Otherwise, the child will have some difficult things in years ahead. Treat them nicely, always appreciate them, show them love and affection. Of course, when there's challenges, relationship, things, so always try to not do that in front of your child. It's easy said than done, but I know it's something that we can all do, work towards. I mean, I've seen so many wonderful devotees who looks after the child so nicely. Do not criticize them. Do not do say things that will make them feel really down or as if not appreciated. I think we have to just learn from each other how each one is dealing with the child. I suppose that will be more beneficial. If you see someone, you can ask the devotee, how do you deal with this devotees in this situation? How would you deal with that? I'm sure there'll be so many examples, ideas devotee will be able to give us. This makes sense. With His Holiness Gaur Maharaj, yes, it's the guru knows what's going on, right? If the guru sometimes, I don't know what was going on, but this is an example I saw where I heard about where Maharaj was very remorseful, affectionate in the end, but he wanted to make a point. When I'm calling you, just come. Why did you have to run away? Why did you not just go away and just not come the first instance? That's all it is. We do the needful, and there'll be no need for chastisement. And also, when you interact with spiritual master, always think the spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. When we think that way, then we will always have that obedience, the own reverence attitude, not an anger. We won't have the, who are you to tell me? We will always have the awe and reverence. And we have the awe and reverence, then we'll always be very humble. Our goal is to be humble. We all recite this in a Tiranga Vishunichena, but are we really humble? That's something we need to check in ourselves. That's my thing. Benefit. That's right, for the benefit of the child. Absolutely. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, because she's a teacher, she knows very well actually how to look after, deal with children, you know. So yes, probably you can actually ask her on how, what are the best ways of dealing with children. But I think when it comes to children, we have to be very mindful. We're taking very good care of them because they're also devotees. Remember, being, you know, Prabhupada said, leave everything, forget about deity worship. You should look after your child first. You know? So, any more questions, suggestions? No. All right, we'll end here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. All glories to simple devotees. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai.